I can't hear you. Hold on.
Well,
Hey.
go ahead and jump into it. You ready? Good to go.
Ready, man.
So, episode 2, we are talking about social media this afternoon. We're going to kind of keep it a little bit shorter than last time, shooting for about an hour from now on. Had a few people talk to us about trying to do a little bit shorter, easier, digestible episodes. So, really, today I wanted to talk about social media for a few different reasons. I wanted to talk about, why do we need social media? What is the point of it? Your parents did just fine without it. Your grandparents lived. Everybody made it without a Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Vine, whatever. So what's the point of it? And then who needs to be using it? And then the harms and the help that we can get from social media. So Renee, do you have any opinions on social media? Do you use social media much? Have you been on for a while? Things like that?
Well, in my field of work, I use it all the time. Now, do I agree with social media? Probably not. The way I view social media is more of, it's a tool.
Yes.
Just like you would use your screwdriver, the way you ride a bicycle, the way you drive a car to work. Mm-hmm. If you think of it in that sense, I think it becomes a lot easier and more productive to use social media.
Absolutely.
But do I think it has its flaws? Absolutely.
Oh, 100%. I agree completely. And I'm real big on that. I talked to my daughter. I also talked to the other kids about, like, so I wouldn't hand you a saw because it's a tool, not a toy. I understand that you could probably find a fun way to play with that thing, but it could also be very dangerous for you. And I feel like social media is absolutely the exact same. Oh, cool. We got more people. Nice. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free, hit us up on the Bear Trap Podcast. We have a live feed going right now. Y'all can absolutely go ask us some questions, talk to us about stuff. And again, we're talking about social media. I definitely feel like we need to use it as a tool. So personally, I tried allowing my daughter, she loves editing video. Mm-hmm. I was a videographer when I was in the Marine Corps. I was a 4671 for those of you who know MOS numbers. But I loved editing video. It was a fun thing for me. I loved editing photography as well. I had a really good time. Somebody else got live. But I really enjoyed getting to do that stuff. And so when my daughter started showing interest in those things, it was something that I was really, really happy to like help her progress and move along with. I did immediately discover that I could not keep control of it, though. Mm-hmm. There was things she was going to see and stuff that was going to pop up that I didn't have a say in. And rather than deal with the consequences of like her finding out stuff before I was ready for it, I went ahead and just got rid of it. And then when you're curious about things, you can talk to me about it. If you hear something, let's talk about it. But I'm not going to just subject you to this stuff. I didn't feel like that was correct. I didn't feel like that was the right thing to do. So we got rid of the TikToks. I allow her to use YouTube still. I do feel like YouTube is a social media, but it's easily monitored, in my opinion. I can always go back through the videos that she's seen. I can look at exactly what was watched, how long it was watched for. Yeah. So I feel like it's much easier to monitor. As far as like any other social media platform, Facebook or MySpace or Instagram or any of that, there's absolutely no need for a child to have that, in my opinion. It has too much potential for bad. So I just don't see that being a positive thing. I don't see there being a lot of upside to that. So
at such a young age.
No, absolutely.
You like you just said, you can't really monitor when they're on those platforms what is going to be feeding to them. And
no,
I think the way in America, the way that system's designed is to give as much trash as possible to so many, to the younger generation, because everyone's out for the views, the likes, everything, and then it becomes a popularity contest, and kids don't need that. It was hard enough for us in school for popularity contests, you know, and
Lord.
And I think social media just intensifies that bullying, intensifies that. Mm-hmm. Like I said, you know, it is hard in school to deal with that, but then you have to deal with it in school. Then these kids go home from school, and it's there in their face, and it's constantly there, and you're never there.
Yeah,
you're never out of that.
To me, I feel, it's just too much. So when I was in school, I did not do well socially. very poor social skills. I didn't enjoy talking to people. I had a very hard time just like expressing myself and explaining the things I was thinking and what I was going through and whatever. So a lot of time I just sat in my room and I played guitar. My parents told me, as long as you don't get put in handcuffs or whatever, we'll buy you instruments. Just keep not getting arrested, keep not getting in trouble. And so for me, that was easy. I didn't have a lot of friends, so I didn't have a lot of like bad influences. So I would just sit in my room and play guitar. Now I didn't have the option to play on a telephone and get on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. I had Guitar World magazines. I would sit there and I would learn like tablature or tabs.
And you'd have to wait months for the next magazine to come out.
Or you borrowed one from your buddy Mike Doucette, his cousin, and you just stole whatever Guitar World, and you just had a collection of like a small library of stuff, and you just flip through. But that was a lot of what I did throughout high school. I mean, I did have a couple other friends that we did other stuff, but for the most part, I really just kind of felt like I stuck to myself. I didn't really, I don't know. And so when I think about that for kids nowadays, you're not getting away. You're not like practicing an art. You're not learning anything. You just kind of sit there and zone out on whatever the feed is or whatever the videos are, and like it becomes a thing where I don't even think you're aware of it. You're just scrolling or viewing and absorbing this information, and it doesn't mean anything to you. It does, it affects you, but you just don't process it. And I think that's terrible for kids. I think they're very, very suggestible, and so anytime they see something, whether they address it or not, whether it like they acknowledge that or not, I definitely feel like it has an impact on them. As a parent, I think that's stuff that we very much need to be cautious of. You know, like who's impacting your children? What voices are, guiding them? Ideally, it's us, as fathers and stuff like that. But you allow social media to raise your kids, or you allow them to just sit in their rooms by themselves or sit on the couch by themselves.
It's easy to do that and let them
Absolutely
just wander off into this virtual world.
Well, so I think that our parents did very similar stuff. It was like, hey, you go outside, come back when the lights come on, We don't want to see you again until the lights come on, though.
Movies.
Yeah.
And I don't think people understood the effects of, movies and all that back then, because I like movies. I enjoy them. But it's that fantasy world that you're getting into, and it keeps you from being productive elsewhere.
Yes.
With your time.
Absolutely.
You're failing to learn a skill. You could be learning something about history. Just little things that you find time to do when you were outside.
So I do feel like there's lots of really good stuff on these things, like on these social media platforms. I do feel like, so we used to watch a fella who would get bitten by insects. I'm trying to think of Coyote Peterson. So it was really fun though, because my daughter and I got to learn about these different insects and what their bites do, and it was a fun thing for her to watch because he was really silly when he would get bit. You could tell that it hurt, but like he was silly with it. And then I liked that. I thought that was very cool. But there's so much trash on there as well. There's so much stuff that just is unproductive, and it teaches them that you should fuss and whine and cry when people tell you no. You should argue and make big, ridiculous. I mean, you just look at the thumbnails for these videos on YouTube, and that's something I allow her to do, is like watch YouTube. But you look at some of these thumbnails, and you're like, these people are crazy.
Why?
Yeah. And
Why?
it's all to just get attention. I want you to look at me more than once.
Yeah.
And then your kids get that. Your kids are being taught, like, would just be ridiculous.
It also shows in our society we have a lot of time on our hands.
Yeah. Yeah, more people should be in the mat room, less on the social media. But to each their own. Live it how you do.
It's such a heavy topic because, in a way, like everyone's guilty of using social media in the wrong way.
Absolutely.
And people that say they're not, I find that a hard time to believe that. But I'll catch myself. I get mad, and like I'll throw my phone, and Haley will be like, "What's wrong?" I'll be like, "I got caught."
They got me.
But then I'm aware. Like I try to make myself aware. What am I doing right now? Like I'm just scrolling nonstop.
It'll get you. So this is something that I personally deal with, and now this is just personal stuff. But when I started the gym, I had to make Instagrams and Facebooks and whatever so that we could advertise. I don't pay for advertisements. I truly believe that we get better members by being word of mouth. So rather than try to like push a message and sell people on this, I've allowed people to talk about it and build our membership up through that, as opposed to like trying to sell ourselves. I do believe that was something that my dad did with his plumbing business. He never ran advertisements. He never tried to sell people on why he was such a good plumber. He let other people talk for him, and they liked what he did. They believed in what he did. And then a big part of that is that if you're the owner, you have to do what you say. Are you going to be where you say you're going to be? Are you going to do the things you say you're going to do? Because people paying you want you to do that stuff. So you're responsible for it. So for me, social media is another way for us to like allow people to talk about us. You can tag Three Brothers Jiu-Jitsu in your posts. You can share our videos, like our stuff. It goes a long way. The Google reviews are a huge part of our success. People want to tell people that they're having a good time up here. And I know that we personally appreciate that a lot. It does go a very long way. And again, without us running advertisements yet, I feel like you guys, the people talking about us, are the ones that are bringing these new members in. We've had, again, outstanding members. So
Just since I've been here alone, I've seen that word of mouth thing working, even through social media. Like, the more content being put out there, like, I see the shares increasing, the views increasing, and it's just organic. And that feels good, because I know you and I have had a couple conversations about whether boosting should or shouldn't, and I know you were on the fence for a while, and I was kind of like, do it, because I know if you did it, you'd be like, oh, what am I going to do with these people now?
Yeah.
But the organic way of doing it, you've convinced me otherwise. I truly believe this is the right way to do it.
Yeah, and it's not saying that, in a month or two that we won't start running ads, or that it won't change eventually, because I'm all about growing. Just because something works today doesn't mean that it's going to work tomorrow. We do need to progress continuously. We should always be looking to take that next step and to better ourselves. And, I do feel like we're creating a product here. I'm teaching jiu-jitsu to people. I'm not selling you gis. I'm not selling you rash guards. I don't care about that stuff. I just want to teach you jiu-jitsu. I want to teach more people jiu-jitsu. So how do I get to reach more people? How do I become a better instructor? Things like that. I feel like the social media helps tremendously as far as like passing along our message and getting the word out to people. But again, I don't want to sell things to folks. I don't like that idea of like having to advertise and just put it in your face. I want you to want to be a part of this, or I want somebody to like it so much that they need you to be a part of it, So for me, that's very important. One of the other things I wanted to talk about, so kind of talking about who should be on social media, who shouldn't be on social media. I definitely feel like kids need to get off of social media. If you have children that are playing on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, any of that stuff, especially TikTok, I have no idea how to control any of that stuff. And it's probably just me being an old person and not using it enough, but I definitely feel like the things that were coming up on my feed as my daughter would play on it were not appropriate for her. As a 9-year-old, there was just innuendo and things like that. Nothing directly vulgar or, too much, but I felt like it was opening the doors for other things, and that absolutely was not acceptable, and I couldn't allow that.
The mind has to catch up when you're that young and you're seeing things. Like, when a kid sees something like, I don't know, I guess an example would be like a 25-year-old girl dancing on there in her bikini and shaking her whatever. But when a 9-year-old sees that, they're not understanding what is going on, For us, we understand, our brain is caught up. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, social media is
We
a
know
little
what
too
they're
fast
selling
for
us.
kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a little too fast for them, I think. And we don't allow iPads or anything with that with Roxton and Ryla. My older kids, I was a young father. I mean, I wanted them to understand technology, and I still want my younger kids to understand that, but as a tool. Back to that again.
Well, I do think that at some point at some point my daughter's going to have a car. She's going to be driving. I'm going to want her to have a cell phone so that she can contact me if anything does happen. And I want her to understand how to use this stuff in a responsible, safe way, because I imagine that it'll still be a thing. And so I'm glad that we got an introduction to it. I'm glad that we were able to talk about, like, hey, this is appropriate, this is inappropriate. And I feel like that's a good, strong foundation for whenever she is older, and I feel like she's responsible enough to see these things, and hopefully it won't have like a negative impact on her. But like you were saying, like watching those girls dance or whatever, if you're 9 and you think that looks cool, are you gonna go repeat that stuff? Are you gonna go copy her to get attention? You know, you're setting your children up for failure if you're letting that be their example. Do you feel like the platforms matter at all? Is there a difference between like a Facebook account versus an Instagram account versus, is Vine a thing anymore? Do people still do Vines?
It's gone. I think it got sold off actually. But, yeah, there's a huge
TikToks.
difference.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference in all of them, but they all have the main goal. Those social media companies, all of them want to make money off of your information, in my opinion. Now, there's a lot of evidence out there that support that opinion.
Yes.
But that is the overall goal of these platforms. I don't think that's their intention, because some of them started with good intentions and now it's all a money game.
Yeah.
And it's a privatized company.
Yes.
They care about profits and maximizing profits. And our attention is the profit.
Any business, regardless of their interests and whatever else, any business, that's their goal, is to make money, or else they're not going to stay in business for very long.
Exactly.
So if you feel like they're out there to help you for something or other, yeah, maybe a little bit, but they're also there definitely to make money. So
The more likes and views somebody gets, you're helping them make more money.
Well,
and
those
getting more
views-
eyeballs on their platform.
Absolutely. Well, those views are because there's people on that platform. It makes people want to go to that platform. You are now a creator and a whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So absolutely that. I do feel like there's a massive difference in the platforms personally. So I remember showing my age, but whenever I first got a MySpace when I was 19, it was really cool, and I could keep up with, I was living in Okinawa, Japan at the time, but I was able to keep up with all of my friends in Louisiana. I say that. I was able to keep up with the few friends I had in Salt for Louisiana, and that made me feel awesome. It was a really cool thing that, well, I didn't have a telephone. I think we might have had a landline, but we were 14 hours off from Southwest Louisiana, so it was very difficult to try to even maintain any semblance of contact, of communication. So for me, it was a neat tool to stay in touch with people, and I very much enjoyed that. And then my mom joined MySpace, and I was like, oh, well, this isn't cool anymore. this is lame, because when you're 19 and your 30, 40-year-old mom is on there, you're like, oh, I don't want her commenting on my pictures of me or doing whatever.
It's
so
like your space.
it was
MySpace.
MySpace.
You
Yeah,
decorate
exactly.
it how you want. It's kind of like your own little world,
I
man.
had the black background. I think I had the yellow, green, and red. Like, it looked all Jamaican. The
You could
highlight
even
stuff.
do the coding with that.
Oh,
You
yeah,
put
yeah,
your own
that's-
codes in.
That's how I learned to do all that stuff. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But that was leading into the platform stuff. So I feel like Facebook has become what MySpace was, but we've all just accepted that, like, that's where everybody's at. I heard somebody joke about it, but it's just like, it's essentially old people yelling into the void. Like, nobody's really paying attention. It's all just like posting links and sharing things, and you don't really share your opinion. In my opinion, I don't share my opinions on Facebook. It's not what it's for. It's to keep in touch with a couple people and do, I don't know, little stuff. For me, that's all that does.
It's like Central Park. Like, or what's the
Absolute.
downtown New York?
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about though. Where
yeah.
you're just on a box, basically,
Yeah,
like
everybody's
talking.
there. You're kind of just seeing what's going on, keeping up with people. What was this person up to? Because, I mean, everybody's on Facebook. That's kind of there. Everyone has their account there, and it's become an advertising hub. Like, you're just seeing ads.
Well, everybody's on it, so why
Yeah.
wouldn't you advertise on there? Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
the new newspaper.
That would be it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great way to put it. For me, Instagram has become like that's where I actually talk to people. Like, I don't want to read about what your day was. I don't need to necessarily hear your highlight reel for the afternoon or about your trip. I do like seeing pictures of you though. That makes me feel good. It's almost like show me, don't tell me kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's what I like about Instagram. TikTok, it makes my ADHD or whatever uncomfortable. It makes me like almost sweaty because it's just these 15-second, 30-second videos just right after another, and they don't necessarily tie into each other in any way, shape, or form. It's just insanity, and I just don't enjoy it. Whereas my daughter doesn't particularly care for anything but that. Like, she can sit on YouTube and watch the shorts one after another. Now, thank God,
I
again,
think that's why kids enjoy that short attention span as it is, you know.
could be that, yeah, for sure.
TikTok's like the after party after you hit the club.
Yeah,
That's a great description of
yeah,
TikTok.
for sure. It's insanity, in my opinion. I just, and I know lots of other adults that are on there that use that platform and they like it a lot. It just, for me personally, I'm just not a big fan of it. And that's not saying that we don't use it. We have we have a Three Brothers TikTok where we share videos and things like that. It's just, again, I feel like we need to be on these platforms so that we can advertise to as many people as possible that are interested in finding us. But it is annoying to me. One of the things that,
I think they're all taking that shape though. They're trying to.
what?
The short forms.
Yeah.
The reels that Facebook started doing it, then Instagram started doing it. Now YouTube's starting to do it.
Well,
Snapchat's even doing it. Like, I mean,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Jeez, I didn't even think about Snapchat. To me, I think social media. It is a social media platform, but I don't really get the Snapchat stuff. Like, you can't. It doesn't stay there, so it feels like it's.
It's just, I don't know.
It's
It's just
for-
one more damn thing for us to look at.
Yeah, yeah. And there's so much to do. Like, I personally, I feel like if I'm not here cleaning, if I'm not here working on advertisements, if I'm not here working on
podcast.
yeah, on the podcast, if I'm not cleaning geese, if I'm not folding towels or cleaning the bathroom or doing something with the gym, I'm at home doing something for my daughter, doing something for Candace and Amelia. There's always things that are needing to be done. If I have time to be on social media, I'm probably negating something else. I'm probably like,
No, I feel the same way, man.
and like you said earlier, how you kind of caught yourself and you throw the phone and you're like, I doom scrolled.
Yes. And I'll just look at Haley and give her that look like
Can't believe this.
disappointed in myself. I gotta go.
So Candace actually had to talk to me when we first started dating because I was the kids instructor over at Olympic for years, and Tyler and I would talk about how I needed to do more with social media. I needed to post more pictures, share more videos, things like that. And so for a while, I really did try to work on that and trying to learn about it and how to do it better. I would look at what everybody else was doing. And so in doing research, I doom scrolled, and I would just, how does this work? How does this person do it? How does this person, do we have money to shoot like this? Can we create something like this? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm just watching, and then you get tied up into something else. Well, this thing is interesting. Maybe I'll go watch these things, and it just becomes, you could live in your phone.
Yeah.
And
That's what it's designed for now.
I don't know. It kills me because there's so many. Yeah, let's talk about that. There's so many good things that you could use social media for. Again, I have friends of mine from Okinawa, Japan. Again, we didn't have cell phones. This is like 2004 or 5. So these are international calls and stuff like that. So a lot of us just didn't have cell phones. I think Rebecca Ide had the only cell phone amongst the group, and it didn't interest anybody. Nobody cared. It just there was just no point in it. And it's gotten to a point now where like I can't leave the house without my cell phone. I if I walk out of here to go to the store, I probably have my cell phone on me. You know, I can't just set it and do other things. I hate that.
That's everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I see myself doing this all the time. I really try to refrain from using my phone while driving. Like, it's one of those things. Like, it's one of my rules. You know what I mean?
I'm the worst about that.
I will be driving down the road, good, because you're probably one of these people. I'll be at a stoplight, and I'll look around, and everyone's on their phone. And I think to myself, if I just did a TikTok, driving around town and just counting how many people are on their phone while they're driving, I'd probably go viral. I'd get a lot of hate for it, because 9 times out, we're all guilty of it, too.
Yes.
I am, too. But it is one of the rules I try really hard to follow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to set rules for yourself. I don't think there's anything wrong with creating boundaries and like, so for me, I know that my phone gives me a notification at the end of every week and it tells me you've been on for X amount of time. I love that. My goal is to always be on less. Whenever I started this gym, I told myself that we were gonna sell ourselves based off of what people talked about us and the way that people discussed our training and whatever else, that I wasn't gonna worry about, like, I wasn't gonna sell people on how great we were. I did not need to do that. I felt like our members would do that when they were ready to. And if they didn't, then we needed to improve and we needed to do better. So I am very thankful that I've been able to get off of social media more. I can focus on, I do like the big collages and stuff like that where I make them for the month or for the week or whatever. And then I started doing Google review advertisements and stuff, and it frees me up to do other stuff. As I don't have to spend all day, every day answering emails and stuff like that. Usually, if somebody asks a question, hey, when's class? I send them a link with the little picture and stuff. Yeah. Here you go. If you have any other questions, look, there's a website. It's got frequently asked questions. Go check this out. And it usually resolves 99% of my problems. Sending a link with the website. Yeah. So again, if we use it as a tool versus like, because I could just sit there and talk to them about every single thing that they want to talk about. And I could sit on Instagram or Facebook Messenger or whatever platform they communicate with me through and do all that. Not that I don't want to talk to people, but just to me, it would be easier for both of us to go to this website, see exactly what's listed, and most likely it answers your question before you even have to ask me. And then if there's anything beyond that, then absolutely call, text, there's phone numbers and email addresses, there's millions of ways for you to contact me aside from just being on social media. You can call me directly on that work phone, on my personal telephone, any of that stuff. But we just don't have to do it on social media, and I definitely do appreciate that, where I can use it as a tool and then set that tool down and use other tools as well.
Do you feel like you use Instagram the most? Is that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Me
yeah.
too. I think a lot of people, maybe it's just the martial arts community, but I feel like that's kind of where it's popping.
Yeah,
all my jiu-jitsu guys, all my MMA guys, like everyone's on Instagram.
Yeah.
That's my feed, but.
So, for me, I'm not young enough for the TikTok, I feel like. I feel like it's too much for me. And then Facebook, I feel like there's not enough for me on there, that it's just, again, it's just advertisements and whatever. It's not actually people's lives or what's going on with them. It's just lanyap, just stuff.
What did we didn't even bring up X.
What is, Twitter.
The site formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, the app. Yeah, I have a Twitter. I just don't care. It's too much. I just don't care.
I think that's where all the trash, that's like the trash talk, that's trash talk central right there.
Well, it's, I don't care I already don't care what celebrities have to say. It already just, like, I understand that you're an actor or you're an actress or you play music or you do whatever. I do not care about your opinion. I care about your talent and your position of authority and whatever else. And I think that's wonderful. But you as a person, because you're an actor or because you pick a guitar, does not mean that I care about your opinion and what you think about whatever social hot button topic that's on the chopping block today.
I think a lot of social media has become that. Everyone has their opinion and it matters, right?
It does not.
No, exactly.
It does
But
not.
in their world, in most people's worlds, they're the main character in their story. So when they go on there and say Taylor Swift fans don't belong in football, and you're scrolling and you see that, to them, they're making the difference of the day.
Could you imagine feeling like that, sitting on your couch,
Angry.
typing out a message like, bro, I'm about to change the world.
Draft
They don't-
1, draft 2.
They don't even know
This
it's about
is
to
the one.
happen. I'm about to end racism right here. Tick, 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 tick. There's so many other things you could be doing with your time. There's so much work to be done in the real world.
And once again, I'm guilty of doing that. Back, 4
we
or 5
all
years
are.
ago, like, especially during the last election, I had to really put social media down. I was like, man, because these people, everyone was just at it, and I really think it was intended. Social media wanted people on there arguing about.
Well, again,
That's why these topics come up, though.
it's a business.
But you notice, like, social media will push certain things out there.
Yes, sir.
And you have to dig for other things. And that is
Very
it's
frustrating.
So it's crippling. Like, it will hurt. It does more harm than good when it gets to that point.
Absolutely.
And I think it's been doing that for a long time now.
I do feel like with social media, it's a business. So they're not going to sell you by just showing you kitty cats, like little teeny tiny baby kitty cats. They're beautiful. They're super cute. Oh, everybody loves playing with them. But you can only see so much of that. But somebody's arguing and talking bad about your politician person that you got a jersey, a Trump jersey or a Biden, whatever, and you are deeply invested in that politician, which they're people, not
people.
teams. You don't root for people. Like, it's crazy to me, but whatever. But when you hear somebody talking about the opposition in a positive way, oh, you got to be fired up and you got to tell them, oh, you're wrong because of X, Y, Z. Do your research.
I'm right, you're wrong.
Yeah. Live video ended.
We'll see what happens.
But yeah, with the social media stuff, I do feel like a lot of times we make it harmful for ourselves because we get overinvested into these things. We try to make a livelihood, or we try to make it feel like it's more than it is.
Yep.
It's just a social media platform. Like, there's no point in arguing with somebody. I'll never argue with you in the comment section on something. I do not care. You're allowed to have your opinion and I'm allowed to have mine, and neither of those things is going to cause a problem. It doesn't bother me in the least bit. Even if your opinion is like, well, I'm pro-murder or whatever, like, that's your opinion. It doesn't change the law. It doesn't change how things work in this country or anything like that. It's your opinion. And I'm allowed to have opinions as well, and it's not gonna affect you in a negative way. Just, in my opinion, those things are pretty trivial. So when we allow it to like tie into us personally, like, and I'm not gonna call anybody out, but like, if you have 3 or 4 different Facebook accounts so that you can talk crazy to people, get kicked off, and then you have another account that you can get back on and doing whatever, that's weird.
That sounds a little unhealthy.
It sounds very unhealthy. It just sounds like you probably should be working on your transitions from armbar to triangle to omoplata. Maybe do your technical stand-ups a little bit more. Work on some break falls. Do something productive with yourself.
Yeah.
Get off of Facebook. Stop arguing with people in the comment sections of Instagram.
I don't understand what's fun about that.
So here's something I got from the Marine Corps. I had a gentleman, Mr. Ortiz. He's, I believe, a retired Master Gunnery Sergeant. Phenomenal leader. Excellent human being. And I want to say he was talking to me about violence, that, a lot of times in the Marine Corps, it was easy to, if somebody disagreed with you, you could tussle, and you just in that argument right then, right there. And it never bothered me. I felt like that was just kind of a part of like just how things worked. And he pulled me aside one day and he was like, if 2 + 2 is 4, right? And you say 2 + 2 is 5 and you beat me up. Is 2 + 2 5? Are you any better? Are you any smarter? I might have a black eye, you might have a busted lip, and you might have won that fight, but like, are you any better off for that? Did you learn anything? Did you grow from that? Absolutely not. Yeah. So in my opinion, that's essentially what you're doing. You're getting online, you're like, well, this is what I believe. Well, okay, well, that's great. This is how I believe. The arguing, any of that stuff, just I don't see a point to it. I don't feel like it benefits us any. In your opinion, how much is too much with social media? Where do you draw the line? Where do you say, like, this is a healthy amount of social media?
There is no healthy amount of social media. I mean, if we're going to be honest here, it's...
So, but it's a part of your job. It's a tool.
It is.
So how do you say that
you grow with it? See, when I went to film school, I was heavily like, oh, I'm making movies. You know, that's what I'm going to do. I had no intention on becoming a social media... whatever, creating content, doing podcasts, like that's not my intention. But, well, because that's the odds of getting into an Oscar-winning movie. It's crazy right now, especially now because movies are kind of they're falling off in a major way. There's not you remember when like in the 90s a movie was going to come out, they were putting out maybe 5 movies a year, or 5 or 6 in the early 90s. Mm-hmm. And it was a big deal, man. One movie coming out on Friday night, like people standing in line to go see that movie.
Yeah,
it just doesn't. That kind of stopped like 3 or 4 years ago.
Feels like it.
Yeah.
It's just, and then with the streaming platforms, there's no real reason to go to the movie. You can just stay at your house.
There. And I think you can even buy the movies now to watch them from home. And we were taught that in film school that this is kind of where it's headed.
Oh wow, that's
so they
wild.
were kind of gearing us to edit the short form. I can see it now. Now that. I'm like, oh, this is what they were teaching us to get ready for. And that's where it is. Like, everything's going vertical format. And, and widescreen's kind of going away because everyone's on their phone and social media's taking over. They're the new Hollywood. It's just, that's actually a really good way to put it. Social media is the new Hollywood.
It's gross.
People, I mean,
because there is
who are the most famous people now?
Yeah.
For these young it's not movie stars. It's not
YouTubers.
Musicians. It's YouTubers.
TikTokers,
It's TikTokers. It's influencers, content creators. Like, that's where it's at, man.
What a load.
It is.
the whole, like,
some of them,
influencer.
and there's a good side, there's an upside to that because some of the most successful creators have a ton of information that they're giving out.
Yeah.
And that's where it's useful as a tool, and it's very informative because there are some influencers out there, that are they're teaching you something, and you are gaining something from it. So,
I feel like we've been looking at all the negative stuff. It is absolutely, we do need to look at the positives to it. There are a lot of really good things to it as well. Like I was talking about the Coyote Peterson guy. That's strictly educational. That was a lot of fun. I know that the Dubards talk about a gentleman that goes camping. They watch, I want to say a dad and 2 sons or something like that. But their whole thing is just camping. They go out into strange places and they go camp. And he explains how to get tents set up, how to get everything done. And
dude, that's pretty cool.
I think that's excellent.
Reach out to them.
And so for me personally, I'm interested in health and fitness and things like that. So one of the gentlemen that I watch is a guy named, his channel is Shredded Sports Science. And he just kind of makes fun of the Instagram, the Facebook, the TikTok stuff, where it's these people who are clearly just roided out beyond belief, like juice coming out
Liver
of the
King
gills.
style.
Yeah, exactly. And they're all telling everybody, just each protein, take some creatine, you'll get as big as me. Everybody that knows that it's not what's happening. We know that you're shooting up and you're doing whatever, and that's fine, but just be honest about it. And he does a very good job of calling these people out and not allowing it to be like, if you thought that was a legitimate thing, that they could just...
You're lying to these people.
Exactly. And I appreciate channels like that where they don't allow nonsense. They're very open-ended with it. And he's very honest, like, we're just looking to progressively overload. We want to... Growth doesn't come overnight. You know, I would tell it to kids all the time when they come in and they learn jujitsu. I don't expect you to be a master of this. I tell the adults this too. We're planting seeds. Trees don't grow overnight. I don't plant a seed, come back tomorrow morning, and I have like an 8-foot redwood, you know? Like that's not how this works. You're gonna get teeny little thing coming out the ground. That's you understanding it. That's you getting a hold of it and starting to grow with it. That's what it should be. You should.
That's how every skill should be. You're learning that skill, and its consistency is key.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no get rich overnight pill. There's no get massive money. Even steroids, you got to work hard at it.
Exactly.
Like,
I think
it takes a lot of work.
And I think that gets lost in the mix because just, so again, my dad being a plumber and doing construction stuff, we watch these home repair, home improvement stuff, Bob Vila style. God, we're old. When you watch that stuff, they fix it in 30 minutes to an hour. The whole house is all done in 30 minutes to an hour. So to explain to somebody that like, I'm going to take days to do this. I have to pull all this out. I have to demo all this other stuff because it's rotten, it's bad, it's whatever. And then I'm going to have to go buy the materials to replace this. This is not a 30-minute job. This is not HGTV. It's going to be a process.
Well, if somebody aired that too, they'd be bored. And I think that's why there's these influencers too. They're trying to figure out, well, I can sell this as the fastest thing ever because people will buy it.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for those people because they are getting duped.
Well, I was one of those people. I remember seeing this stuff called Gamma O when I was younger. I think I was probably like 22, 23, so I should have known better. But it was something all these UFC guys that I was into that I thought like, I want to have a physique like that. I want to fight like that. I want to do what they do. And all these guys were taking this Gamma O supplement. I have no idea what it even was. I don't know if it was a testosterone booster or what, but I was like, well, if they take it, I'll take it and I'll get bigger and stronger and better. And I did not. No.
How long did you take it for?
A couple months.
Oh,
But that whole idea of like, you're going to get big overnight, you're going to get rich overnight, you're going to...
Doesn't happen.
It never happens.
It takes hard work and consistency. And
Consistency.
a lot of people don't figure that out till, way later, which is fine. You have to figure that out though. That's what should be being promoted. Consistency.
Yes, sir.
And I think jiu-jitsu does that really well. That's why a lot of people are attracted to it now.
Man, that, you say that. I really feel like that's kind of the thing that kept me coming back was that I started with certain people, not like specific people, but, you're in a class and like you're a 1-stripe white belt and Roland's a 1-stripe white belt or 2-stripe white belt. Like you're like pretty neck and neck with these people. And now you had an injury or you were sick or you had a family thing happen. And so you're out for a month.
You set back.
Sorry, excuse me. And when you come back, that person that was pretty neck and neck with you, now they got a month on you and you feel it, you see it, you have to deal with this thing. That is such a good example of how consistency beats everything. Talent, just about everything. There's just not much that's
The word talent is overrated.
You're telling me. I watch, now I will say that talent that wants to work hard, that
wins every time.
Oh, yeah. Man, that's a tough one to beat.
Because there's talent that you're just like, what are they doing?
Shoot. So
what are they doing?
Not to just talk about the do-bards all the daggum time, but Avila was the first one to do class with us, and I taught her a double leg and was like, we're going to do King of the Hill. And we had probably 10, 15 kids for her age group at the time. And she ran through each and every one of them. Again, talent that wants to work hard. She doesn't even shoot double legs anymore. She only does body locks and trips pretty much. Not that she's not capable of the other stuff. She just prefers this other thing now. But, within 15 minutes of showing her this, she took out the entire team. Like, she was able to double leg everybody. Kids
and
knew.
That's hard to do when you teach a technique and then you go out there and you're out there trying to do it and you're not doing it because everyone learned it. But
it
that
crazy.
says a lot.
Again, talent that wants to work hard. She paid attention. Because if she didn't, it wouldn't have worked that well. If she wasn't invested in it and paying attention and really focused on it like she was, I don't feel like she would have been as successful. And who knows, like later on, maybe jiu-jitsu wouldn't have been as exciting for her if she hadn't been so successful with this first thing. And nobody that she went against was upset about it. It was just like, well, these kids that had more experience were like, well, we just need to work harder. Obviously, she's doing something really good. She's going to be a good training partner for us later. We need to work to stop her from being able to do this. And it was a lot of fun for me. But when talent works hard, man, it's a beautiful thing. It's really, really amazing to see. And to watch other kids come in here, I get to see their talent. And when they can be consistent, you see massive improvements. And I feel like that's probably something that's very, very universal, that if you consistently put effort into something, you will see benefit from it. You will see rewards and progress.
I had a conversation a few weeks ago with a friend of a friend, and they had a baby, and I was just like, man, you're gonna put that little girl in jiu-jitsu, right? And this person was like, no, she's gonna be a dancer. I don't want her doing all that. And
you gonna dance your way out of a bad situation?
That's what I was like. You don't want her to defend herself? She's like, well, she won't have to do that. It's just a young mind, and it's that they haven't learned that consistency yet, And I'm not saying jiu-jitsu is for everyone, because look, some people just don't want to get their faces smashed or choked or whatever, and I understand that too. But it is such a valuable skill, even if you're only doing it. I think they should just give it a try. And you don't want to be defenseless in a bad situation. Like, you just don't want to. And I understand there's guns, because that's the next, oh, well, I got a gun, I can use that. That's fine.
Can you get to that gun before I do?
Can you get to that? Exactly.
So we used to talk about this pipeline for a while, and it's great that you have a knife, but if it's in the truck, how are you going to use it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and this isn't a movie. You're not going to be gunslinging. Like, come on, man.
You think you're John Wick?
Yeah.
Have you practiced that?
Bullets miss a lot.
Well, and
you shot a lot of guns. You're in the military.
Yeah, absolutely.
They glorify it. I mean, it's.
Well, you know how often guns jam too?
Yes.
How often rounds don't rack properly and things like that? Yeah, absolutely.
But imagine knowing jiu-jitsu and having a gun. Now, who's going to win that fight?
Well, listen, I think that's one of the beauties of jiu-jitsu is, like, I'm not worried about you having a gun. I'm probably not going to fight you, period, because I'm a 40-year-old man. I don't want to be like rolling around in the dirt with you. But if it came to that, I feel very confident and comfortable because we practice so much. If I was an electrician that never did my job and had to go do something, I probably wouldn't be very good. I'd probably get shocked and hurt and not have a very good time with it. But if I go to work every day, I worked as an apprentice under somebody who was very knowledgeable, and then I go start my own thing, I probably do very good with it.
Goals.
I mean, that's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
We practice underneath other people. We've been doing it for years, and now we've taken the time to do it ourselves and, continue on. Nobody's getting hurt when they train with us. Nobody's having problems, no catastrophic breaks, injuries, nothing like that. The kids go compete, never have issues. But we've consistently trained. We've built up this ability to do these things over and over and over again, day in, day out.
Well, if you're consistent, it goes back to social media. People who are consistently on social media, it shows.
Yeah.
And if you're consistent doing nothing, your brain is going to consistently do nothing.
Well, I think that's the worst part is I see people that they're consistently on social media, and it robs them of the ability to communicate properly in person because you're so comfortable with being behind a screen that, like, talking to somebody the way that you would talk to them on social media isn't even, it's foreign to you. It's like speaking Greek now because you can type out that crazy stuff. You have no problem doing that.
It's a new form of communication.
Yeah. But you wouldn't dare say any of that stuff to somebody's face. You wouldn't look at them in the eye and talk like that.
And then, of course, you got the people who are like, yeah, I would. No, it's different. You wouldn't.
I know you.
Yeah.
You wouldn't. And it's not a bad thing. Again, so like with us, we talked about it last episode where we don't do politics. So I don't mind talking about Gracie Baja and Lake Charles. I don't mind talking about Lake Area. I won't mind talking about Olympic or anybody else because I don't have anything bad to say about you. I don't have negative stuff to say. And I would talk to you guys to your face about it too. I see these people at tournaments. We have a very niche community where we're not gonna hide from one another. So for me, being consistently good matters a lot. I want to be the same person, whether you see it on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever. We are the exact same people day in, day out. Whether you see us online, whether you see us in person, if I'm in the grocery store or in the mat room, whatever the case is.
That's another question I got for you. Do you think social media pages are a reflection of that person?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether you know or not, like.
That is all. So that's something that I've worked hard not to. I don't want Brian East to be the voice of Three Brothers Jiu-Jitsu. I want all of us to be like, it's in the name. We're a family here. We take care of one another. When we called it Three Brothers, it was because, like, what wouldn't you do for your brother? Like, coming from a Marine Corps standpoint, like, I would never leave a Marine behind. We would never do that. That's just, it's just not a part of what we do. If you're a brother, a sister, a mother, a father, what wouldn't you do for your family? What wouldn't you, the way that you love your child, you couldn't do that. You couldn't do bad to him, or you shouldn't be able to do bad to him. Jesus, I know that's a thing, but it shouldn't be an option. So for me, that was kind of the idea, was that I want to take care of people, and I want people to want to be here and want to know how much we care about them. I want to see you progress. And that's all students that I have, whether you train somewhere else, whether you do other things later on and you go somewhere else, whatever the case may be. I want to see you progress. I want to see you succeed. The fact that I was even involved with it means I have a vested interest in your success. I don't want to see you fail just because you went somewhere else, because I feel like that's also a reflection of me. Just because you did well with them, even more so than you did with me, isn't a knock against me. I was that stepping stone that got you to that next level. In my opinion, that's the way that I see it. And I think that if we all looked at it that way, if like when we left Olympic to start this, if they'd have been proud of us and boosted us up, it would have made me feel better. That, like, I'm coming from you, you got me to this point, now look at how far you've gone. Look at how much we've encouraged you and pushed you to do better.
The word, school. When you leave school, you go out to do better for yourself.
Yes, sir.
We go to jiu-jitsu school. It's a school. It's what it is. We're learning a skill. It's an education.
Yes, sir.
And one day you're going to have, your students are going to graduate, and you want to wish them well.
Yes. Well, so that, I was talking to, we got a new young lady who joined up recently, and she was kind of talking about, she does some weightlifting, and not that she's peaked completely, but she feels like she's lifted about as heavy as she wants to lift, and she's feeling very satisfied with where she's at. And she's like, do you get that with jiu-jitsu? Is there ever a point where you're like, I've reached like a good place, I'm not pinnacle, I'm not at the top of the mountain, but do you feel like there's ever a time when you're like, all right, I got it, I know all the moves? And I was like, never.